there's a third way that I can modify a triad, and that is by using octave doubling. Let me show you how that works. Let's go back to our root position G major triad. Over here on the left, we have a G, a B, and a D. And that G again is our root, the B is our third, and the D is our fifth. So root, third, fifth. I can actually double any one of these notes in any octave and still retain a basic triad. And let's try that. Let's start with something simple. Let's double the root. So here's my basic chord: root, third, fifth, G, B, D. Let's double the root an octave above. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another root, or add another G up here. So now we have root, third, fifth, and then another root right here. So, and then that G on top. Okay, that makes a slightly more interesting sound. I could also double that root down below. Let me try that. I've got a bass clef here. Let me go down and double that root in the octave below, right here. So add a G right here. So here's another root. And remember, again, even though we're using two clefs, these are all stacked on top of one another. So this is what we're going to play simultaneously, all four of these notes. So in my left hand on the piano, I have that G below middle C, then I have G, B, D, like that. I could even skip an octave. I don't necessarily have to double in the octave that's right next to the chord. I could go all the way down here to this root that's 2 octaves below the bottom note of the triad. It's down here. That G that's 2 octaves below middle C. So then I have G, G, B, D. And I don't even have to choose between those two, because I'm allowed not just to double in one octave, I'm allowed to double in any octave I want. So I could actually have both of these Gs. So we could have 3 Gs in a row. This G, and this G. All the roots. And it's not just the root I could double. I can double any of these notes. I could double the fifth. In fact, let me do that. Let me add another fifth. Let me add a fifth down here just to make things interesting. So this is the D that is between the G and the G. So I'm adding the fifth here. And notice I've now built myself a 6-note chord, a really rich 6-note chord with a root, a fifth, a root, a third, and a fifth. Now let me just give you 2 things to be careful about. First of all, even though I'm allowed to double as much as I want, and in any octave that I want, I still need to have at least 1 root, 1 third, and 1 fifth. For instance, if I were to get rid of this B here, that's a really interesting sounding chord, but it's no longer a triad. It's just a collection of fifths, because we have G's and D's. So we need to make sure we have, in our doublings, we have at least 1 root, 1 third, and 1 fifth. Second of all, remember our inversions are still valid. So we want to be very careful. If we want to write a chord in root position, we want to make sure that the root is always in the bottom, no matter what else we do with any kind of octave doubling. For instance, let's go over to the first inversion chord over here. I can do octave doubling with the first inversion chord as long as I still have that third in the bottom position, that third in the bass. So let's see if we can make an interesting octave doubling over here. So I'm going to put that B way down here. I'm going to put another B right here. And this is fine because that B is the third of the chord. And then I'm going to have the G and the D, or the root and the fifth. So root, fifth, and then we have 2/3 down here in the bass. That's a pretty great sounding chord. And notice, do we have a root? Yes, we have at least one root. We have this G right here. Do we have at least 1/3? Yes, we do. In fact, we have 2/3, and that's fine. And do we have at least 1/5? Yes, we have at least 1/5. And you're probably getting a sense of this already, but I can combine inversions and octave doublings and open and close positions. So I can use open positions with octave doublings. Let me go over here to the second inversion, see if we can create something with that. So second inversion, I have the fifth in the bass, so let me put the fifth down here, or fifth in the bottom position. And let's create an open position voicing with octave doublings. So we have, I'm just going to invent one here. Here we go. So we have our root, which is up here. We have our third, which is the B right here. And we've doubled 2/5. So, I'm sorry. There we go. And notice we have all kinds of space in between here. So we could fit a G if we wanted to right here, and a B right here. So we have lots of space in there. We could fit a G right here, and we could fit a D right here. So this is a very open kind of position for this chord. Notice also, and again, you may be starting to get some sense of this. Once we combine these three versions of modifications that we can make to a triad, inversions, open and close position, and octave doubling, we're starting to have a nearly infinite variety of different chords that we can make. And again, all three of these inversions, all three of these modifications, we've been doing with just 3 notes: G, B, and D. Imagine what possibilities we have if we add in the other notes of the scale, not even to mention the white and the black notes of the keyboard that we will be learning about in a few upcoming videos.